Mm-mm.
So
So,
my
My name is Yi Ching. I'm a new clinical psychologist here. Nice to meet you all.
yeah. Our new clinical psychologist here. So the Yi Ching, we also akan actively share with us a lot of information related to mental health, related to psychology and counseling. So today we are going to talk about toxic behavior, which is a big topic in 1 hour. I'm not sure how far we can cover, but
mm-mm.
our best to cover in terms of sign of toxic behavior and also ways how to deal with toxic behavior itself. So
Mm-mm.
for today's session, that will be the focus.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And along the way, we will talk about also about how those toxic behavior will affect us lah.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
yep.
Along the way,
Okay.
yeah, we'll be discussing about this lah, how it's
Mm-mm.
impacting someone's
Mm-mm.
life lah,
Mm-mm.
when you deal with toxic behavior.
Agak-agak kan Cik Ari and Yi Ching, why we have to talk about this toxic behavior? So far we have talked about fear of abandonment, we have talked about insecurities, we have talked about self-confidence. Why suddenly we talk about this toxic behavior?
Uh-huh.
Ah,
And how toxic behavior affect us? Because there are a lot of toxic behavior around us. Just that sometimes it's hard to identify them because we don't usually notice them. We don't go and
Yeah.
purposely look for them. But then it does affect us.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why we want to know more.
Consciously
come
or
here.
it will affect us.
Yeah, betul. And if we look at the way most people deal with toxic behavior, it's either you stay quiet or you ignore.
Yeah.
But tapi kalau ditanya dalam hati tu sakit tu. Right?
Ini macam singa kan. It's like lion in your heart. Jadi terpaksa something like that.
Yeah. Kan. So now the reason we did this live untuk talk about toxic behavior, so that maybe it can help us to understand how toxic behavior about toxic behavior itself, and maybe it can help us not to ignore after this, but stand up for ourselves.
So help you identify what is the toxic behavior. Sometimes we feel confused. You know, is it a toxic behavior? Is it a toxic attitude? Is it a toxic thing happen to me? So sometimes we feel difficult to identify whether it is toxic or it's just normal, because sometimes toxicity in that environment has been normalized by people. So sometimes you won't recognize whether it's toxic or not. So that's why today we will discuss further about the sign and how toxic behavior impacting someone's life, and also ways to deal with it. All right.
And when we talk about this, right, Sha'ari and Yi Ching, it's not only about how to deal when with someone who are having this toxic behavior atau someone who are very toxic. Tapi it helps us to kenal ourselves also.
Yeah.
Because like Sha'ari said, sometimes it happens subconsciously, right? We don't even know that we can be toxic as well to other people.
Correct.
Right? So it helps us to know ourselves lah. So fair and square lah. Tak adalah kita dok kata kat orang je. Nah, kita pun tengok diri kita juga. Macam tu kan.
Betul. So and we can make some changes lah. But I do stay in our live sessions so that we'll talk about the ways how to handle toxic behavior at the end of our live today.
Betul.
So what is toxic? What are the signs of toxic behavior first? Let's
Yes.
Toxic behavior is include attitudes, action, or words which is negatively impact you, and then negatively impact you in terms of emotional, physical, and mental. So if you notice this attitude, this action, and these words, impacting negatively on your emotions, on your mental and your physical, and that's actually considered as toxic behavior lah in general. But we may need to identify further what behavior, what attitudes and what words can
Considered negative.
yes, correct.
Yes.
But
Considered toxic.
in general, definitely in general understanding, toxic behavior means words, attitudes, and action of someone negatively impact someone else mentally, emotionally, and physically. So if you this is a sign of that. This is the definition of toxic behavior, and it consistently happen or many times happen. It's not just one time thing. It's consistent and many times. That's why we call it as toxic. If it's happened one time and then this person is so toxic, but in the past he hasn't done anything like that to you, it just happened one time, that's not considered toxic lah. But toxic should be consistent in terms of behavior, words and attitude, and consistently impacting your emotions, your mental and your emotional. So that's considered as toxic behavior. Would you like to add, Ira?
Tebak Syari. Okay. Okay. I want to add a little bit lah kan. So when we talk about toxic behavior ni, like I mentioned tadi lah, I always imagine in my head, when we talk about toxic, I always imagine that symbol of poison kan, yang ada tengkorak and then got pangkah one tu, right? So when we talk about poison always bring negative effect to us kan. Tak ada poison yang menyembuhkan kita. Right? Poison is a poison. So it always bring negative effect to us. So it means that when we talk about poison or something that brings toxic to us, it always related to negative vibes. So when we can feel like not comfortable to sit atau to have this kind of behavior, it shows that it might be considered as a toxic behavior. Toxic trait. Okay.
Corrosive. Dia bersifat corrosive, which means that slowly impact this, slowly damaging things or something.
Yeah. So and like Syarif said just now, that these effects of toxic behavior will not only affect your punya physical. The most damageable one adalah your mind, your mental. So and when your mental state are damaged, it can affect your physical as well. So you see how it's intercorrelated. So that's why it's important for us to know how we can deal with this toxic behavior. You think you have anything to say?
Yeah. Sometimes there are signs of how a toxic behavior look like. You know, the characteristic of people who are toxic, you can notice the patterns and some the habit that they present. They act like, for example, a person who is toxic, they might be inconsistent with their words. Like, for example, they make a promise to you, but then they didn't do it.
Correct.
Oh, that's hurt. That's hurt.
That makes us feel like, this person said their words are not reliable, or we can't trust their words. We have to fight for what we want, or we have to defend ourselves. That kind of feeling is how a toxic person would make us feel.
Yeah. It's like that's the sign of toxic behavior. One of the signs.
Yeah.
In terms of character, words,
that's a lot.
It's inconsistent. However, it's consistently impacting you. So That's the sign lah, basically.
Betul. And another sign that we can identify adalah someone who always come with judgment.
Correct. Negative.
Every time we talk to them, every time we talk to them, what we always receive adalah we will always receive some kind of negative judgment, and they can be indirectly inputting the judgment to ourselves.
Yeah.
But we know that we're being judged by them, and they put us down.
Yes.
And someone who are and despite of the self judgment, despite of apa yang Yiching cakap tadi, I forgot already. What you were saying just now about your point? Come again?
Inconsistent.
Yeah.
They don't keep their words.
Being inconsistent with their words. They don't really keep their words. They will also not ask for forgiveness. They will never say, please forgive me. They will make you rasa macam you are the one who did this to them, and they are the one who victim here.
Yeah.
Or maybe they think they are more superior than you.
Correct.
Yes, can be as well.
They don't have to apologize.
Yes. I would say that someone who are narcissistic. Yes. Come again?
Yeah, somehow.
Yes, can be toxic. Yes. That's why like when narcissistic or someone with borderline personality disorder, actually toxic behavior is not a mental, right? But it can be a cause to a certain mental disorders. For instance, like because of this toxic behavior, it's either come from you, or it's either when you deal with someone who are having this toxic behavior, it can pressure you mentally. That's where you can get depression, that's where you can get anxious, that's where you can have a fear because they always downgrade you.
Yeah.
Right? And at the same time, toxic behavior can be the underlying causes of a certain mental disorders.
Yes. It's a bi-directional relationship lah. Whether the relationship increase the tendency for you to have a disorder, or these are the triggers you to have a toxic behavior itself. So, but it can be resolved. It can be recovered. It's about words, attitude, and action, which is you can control that.
Betul. And like everyone, macam like every situation lah. Toxic behavior macam I cakap tadi is not a mental disorders kan. It can be a cause, or it can be a cause to a certain mental disorders, or it can be a symptoms itself. For instance, like I bagi tahu tadi contohnya a personality issues lah. Usually someone who are having a personality issues, they can goes up until being manipulative. So being manipulative is also one sign of a toxic behavior. They will manipulate the situations.
When you notice,
like lying or twisting the truth, or even maybe leaving information, you can act in a certain way that they want you to act. That's a form of manipulation.
Yes, correct. And many for those who practicing manipulation action, their attitudes love to manipulate people, right? They actually trying to control you in a indirect way through a lot of methods lah. For example, guilt tripping, emotional blackmail. So this is the of manipulation. When someone's guilt trip you, say something positive or something negative about you, but at the same time to impact your emotion, or to make you feel bad about it. That is like manipulation. When you feel bad about yourself because of the guilt tripping, you rasa bersalah, buat semua tu, sedangkan there's nothing that you have done wrong. Nothing wrong with your behavior. That's actually a manipulation. So manipulation is a kind of toxic behavior.
And just imagine that when you have been putting as when you have been the guilt trip ni dah been put on you, atau they have downgrade you to the bottom part of yourself, and just imagine that how the anxiety cannot be developed and how depression cannot be developed if you keep being downgraded, if you keep put in a guilt trip. Of course, if you want to stand up pun, you will have a fear. And you will keep questioning about your capability. That's where you will have a thought that I'm a worthless already.
Correct.
Sebab
Correct.
I can't even stand up for myself. I can't even fight for my rights. So, I mean that when you have a self-worthless and it makes you feel sad almost every day, that could be one of the symptoms of depression already. That's why I said just now, and Shari also said, Yiching also said that dealing with toxic behavior ni, it really can affect us mentally.
Yeah, correct.
Walaupun yang toxic tu adalah diorang, tapi kita pun kena affect dia juga.
And it's very difficult to deal. It's not easy to deal with this because some of you have a strong connection with this person. Some of you have a dependency in this person. So, yeah, if it's related to dependency and also very significant person too, and then it's more difficult for you to handle this person and his behavior or her behavior lah, basically. So what were you saying just now, Yiching?
Yeah, like how this toxic behavior, they affect us so much, but then a lot of time the person, the behavior, the toxic behavior, they don't really understand like the impact they have on the person who is receiving these words, this kind of behavior.
I would say that it's okay, you can continue, Yiching.
And then they also because when we are interacting with people, we have our own boundaries, and then people with toxic behavior, toxic trait, they tend to overstep the boundaries, and that's when issues happen. The struggles with the boundaries and like the lack of understanding. That's when and we will talk more about that, the boundaries thingy, when we come to the ways in dealing with the toxic behavior.
Yes.
But I tertarik when she said that someone with it's not easy to deal with the toxic behavior, and plus they are not even, I mean, they don't really know how their words, their actions can affect other people, like Yiching said, right? Yes, that's true. But at the first place, what I always notice when dealing with someone with toxic behavior, right? They don't really realize that they have a toxic behavior. For them, whatever that they did is for themselves, for their own benefit. But they don't know, yes, we have to do for our own benefit. But if it is until harming other people's feeling, hurting other people's feeling, harming other people, then how we can say that it benefits you if other people's around you was affected by you?
And
so
also to help them understand that they are having
that's true.
And for you to say, to explain to them, it's like they're not listening. One of the listen. Whenever
come again, you are lagging from my side. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay. Another sign is lack of empathy or do not listen to other people. So this is another toxic relationship. Whenever you try to explain something or whenever you try to express yourself to these people, usually they don't listen. And they don't show their empathy, and they don't even understand what in the context. They don't understand the context, and their role is just judging, and also makes you feel bad about the situation. This is a toxic people. For example, you share with them some story. Oh, and then they say to you, oh, maybe because of you lack of this ability to deal with these people, and always you constantly feeling bad about yourself, blame yourself. If you in the loops of blaming yourself, and have lots of self-defeating thoughts about any situations, that's actually you are not in a good environment, not in a good, in a good relationship with that people lah, basically when you're feeling bad about yourself lah. So that's another sign, which is they don't listen and they don't understand your situations. They don't. It's pretty difficult for them to understand, you know, your issues, your challenges. So it's pretty difficult lah. And whenever you try to explain to them, it's like tak masuk tau, tak masuk. It's like they,
Macam kadang-kadang clothing kiri ya.
it's like couldn't grasp what we are trying lah.
Yep.
That is
Yeah.
of toxic behavior or toxic.
Betul. It makes me to relate with another signs, which is self-centered. So someone who are having this toxic behavior usually like Yiching kot sebut tadi, it's always about themselves. It's always about what they want. It's not, they don't really care about what other people want. As long as they achieve what they want through any means, it's fine for them. Kan yang terluka tu bukan dia orang lah, it's other person. Yes.
They see themselves.
Yeah, so that's Come again, Yiching?
They see themselves as more important than others.
Correct.
Yes. Macam ni. Yes, they are very self-centered lah. Memang, I mean that, simply said, dia macam pentingkan diri sikit lah.
Yes.
Kan? Self-centered ni macam pentingkan diri sikit lah.
Bukannya self-love tau, it's clear selfish. It's clear
betul.
They try to control you, they try to blame you, and they try to do anything as long as they feel good about themselves and they don't deal with all the challenges that they have to deal. So always won't try his own ways or something like that. So it's not, as you said just now, that it's always about them. And when I try to communicate with them, it's like tak boleh buat apa. It's like you cannot do anything. You just behavior, something like that. But is it fair for follow this behavior?
Bila you bercakap dengan someone who are having this toxic behavior kan, dia macam buat kita rasa macam we can't do anything, right? I mean that, yes. Frankly speaking, I sometimes I receive this kind of question lah. How to deal with narcissistic people? Dia buat I macam nak tersenyum. Dia macam I tak terkata, because it's not about how to against them. It's not about it's about how we bring ourselves whenever that we deal with them.
Yeah.
Sebab memang tak boleh buat apa dengan diorang ni if they're not ready to change.
They cause drama just because they want to see what happens, you know.
Yes.
It's like
so.
If you have a mindset where you want to change them, or you're trying to help them understand themselves, or you're trying to help them change their behavior, or this is not a appropriate mindset lah in dealing with these people.
Yes, I mean that we will talk about that later in the ways of dealing, because I would like to add a point lah on that part kan, yang when we want to help them tapi at the same time we think we want to change them as well. Tapi at the first place, if they don't realize that they are having a toxic behavior, macam contoh someone who are narcissistic and want to have this entitlement, right? They don't really realize that they have this kind of toxic behavior in themselves. It's not easy for us to change them. That's why when it comes to this question, I will be like, Oh, how? I'm the one who also my question myself. Now I'm thinking how to do, how to change this narcissistic or any kind of toxic behavior lah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about changing them. It's about how you deal with them.
Yeah,
Because
it's about
it's tiring.
when we be with them. How
Yes.
we gonna ourselves
Mm-mm-mm.
trying to help them understand instead of we trying to change their behavior. Oh no, it's not that. That's not the way lah. Basically.
Yes. That's not the aim lah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
similarly, yes,
someone's
Yuji?
behavior is their own behavior. We can't control how they act because it is
Yeah.
our control. What we can control is our own action, our own what we think, what we feel, and our own mental state.
Yeah.
And to our audience, right? If you all of you have any questions related to our today's topic, so just type in the chat box. So we will go through on that, lah. Okay. All right. So is there any more signs that we would like to share with our audience before we jump to other objectives?
Yeah.
We covered it.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
already that a very simple explanation lah.
Yeah. Yes.
You receive consistently criticism. You deal with a lot of manipulation, and to share, express your emotion or explain your situation, they are not trying to understand you, and then you always feel blame and you always feel bad about yourself whenever you be with them, and you feel like you cannot do anything when you. So that's actually some of the kind of toxic behavior or toxic.
Simply said, when you be with them, you feel like you can't grow much. You always being downgraded. You always being judged when you want to stand up, when you want to fight for your right. You always being criticized, and they want to appear as the top top liner as the main one. So maybe you are dealing with someone who are having a toxic behavior.
Another key point, it needs to be consistent. If it's just one time, that's not considered.
Mungkin dia tengah moody lah kot.
For example, are in the relationship, and then the beginning of the relationship, after the honeymoon phase, maybe 1 or 2, and then you have an official relationship with that people, and since that time, and after a few months, after a few years, you keep feeling the same thing over and over again with these people, and maybe you may need to identify whether your partner or people around you is toxic or not, because then if you don't equip yourself with certain skill and certain ways in dealing with the toxic behavior, is gonna impact you. Is really gonna impact you, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Right?
And yeah, that's true. So all right. So maybe we can talk a bit about what is the usual cause that can trigger this toxic behavior.
Yeah, the factors.
The factors, yes. The factors that arise this toxic behavior lah. So one of the things that I've always heard is about the trauma lah. So meaning that a person that having this toxic behavior, they don't really process their trauma. So the way they deal with the trauma currently in their life now, it's about putting on other people. Putting down on other people. That's how they deal with trauma now. So that's why it's so important for us to process any trauma that we have in the past, or even trauma just recently occurred, any unfinished business that we have. So that's why it's so important to do that. because trauma can give a lot of effects, not to ourselves but to other people as well. How we treat other people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And another
Mm.
possible factors that contribute to this toxic behavior would be learned behavior, or previously in the past, when you're teenagers or when you're still kids, you see some
Mm.
that behavior and receive some reward from that behavior. So
Mm.
then this behavior from other people unconsciously, where you not realize whether, oh, this is not a good a good behavior to practice, but that no one guide you, telling you which one is okay, which one is not okay, which one cannot be practiced. And you learn from your observation, but that time you don't have much knowledge, and when you practice that, when you learn from someone else this behavior unconsciously, that's also we call it as a learned behavior, which is contributing
Betul.
to your
Mm.
toxic behavior lah.
When we talk about toxic behavior, it's a behavior, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So from behaviorism perspective, they always believe that we learn something by observing through environment.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So
Especially,
that's why.
mm-mm.
Apa dia Syahri?
Especially kids, because they have,
Yes.
yeah, judgment is pretty limited because of the
Mm.
itself, so that you learn something from your what you see, no? What you
Betul.
observe. So when you observe behavior and you notice that some positive things that time, for example, if I do this and then I don't get the consequences, or if I blame people and I don't get
I don't get the. I will continue lah.
and then I will continue blaming people
Betul.
and you receiving the reward, and then
Mm.
at the same time you don't really realize this is actually impacting other people. So when it's impacting other people, whereas you keep doing this behavior, yang tu lah, sometimes you not realize whether you have the toxic behavior or not because of the behavior itself.
And plus, maybe by the time you have been, you receive that kind of learning experience masa kecil, right? So when you receive that kind of judgmental, you are not allowed untuk express your hurt feeling of being judged, for instance, of being compared by your parents, right? So it means that you are not allowed to express your emotions. So it makes you suppress your emotions more. So when you model this kind of behavior terus sampai bila you besar, there is a tendency yang you akan buat macam tu dekat orang lain juga, because that's how you being shaped, right? That's how itu yang you observe. That are the thing that you model masa kecil. So you buat masa besar, and you will not be able to understand people that they are hurt because of your behavior. Because daripada kecil pun you are not diberi peluang untuk keluarkan rasa sakit tu. So that's what makes it difficult for you to be empathy. Why other people have to be hurt when I'm being judged? When I judge them, they don't have to be hurt. Sebab I dulu pun my parents judge I can't even feel hurt. So you see, that's how it's related lah.
Yeah, trauma, learned behavior, and then what else?
Yeching, you want to add?
Input on it?
I want to add on the trauma part. It's because after they experience repeated interaction, that they feel to get what they need from the people they want to trust, but then it doesn't really end well. From this repeated exposure, then they develop this kind of struggles to get what they want but couldn't get it, and then these kind of insecurities that makes them reflect these kind of emotions onto their behavior towards other people in their current self. That's how the past experience reflect on their current behavior.
So it means here that like we always talk lah in our previous life before, when we talk about causes kan, always look back on our past experience. If it is not being fully processed, regardless whether it's really give you a big impact or not, but it still give impact to you. It just the level of severity itulah mungkin different kan.
Our
Ah.
experience and environment. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That
Mm.
how we behave, the way how we think, the way how we react, the way how we are making decision is created or the product of our past experience and environment lah.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. So kalau ada parents yang dalam ni yang tengah join our life,
mhm.
so I always have this kind of mindset that anak kita ni ibarat kain putih yang boleh di-shape lagi. So we try to shape accordingly lah. So that's bila dia dah besar nanti, if they behave like that, one of the things that contribute to that kind of behavior would come back to us juga. Yes. Okay. All right. So yeah. Now, is there anything else that you guys want to add on the causes?
No, I think that we can proceed with the ways how to manage the toxic behavior.
Yes, I guess this is the most part yang orang tunggu-tunggulah, how to deal with toxic behavior. And yes, and tak ada end. How to deal with toxic behavior. So kalau the toxic behavior is in ourselves, let's start with the sign dulu. Identify the sign that aku ni suka judge orang ke, aku ni suka elok buat reflections lah, self reflection. Okay. Alright.
If you notice that if you receive lots of complaints or from other people, you know, a sign lah for us to reflect ourselves. There's certain things that we may need to change, or there's certain things that mungkin lah kita tak sedar, but it's actually impacting other people. So that once we reflect ourselves, there's something lah we could do about it. Okay.
Betul.
One of the thing whenever you try to deal with this toxic behavior is cara yang pertama sekali yang you kena buat adalah boundaries lah.
Yes, boundaries.
Is the most important thing for you to create and develop. Create healthy boundaries for yourself. Whenever you have already identify the toxic signs of a person of a certain environment, and then setting boundaries is compulsory.
Yes.
Setting healthy boundaries.
Betul. Sebab boundaries ni is the apa dia Yici? Sorry.
Boundaries help to reduce the effect of their behavior on you, because you are having an appropriate distance from them. Relational distance.
Yes.
Setting boundaries doesn't change the person. The person dia akan jadi macam tu je, but
dia akan jadi macam tu juga. Yes.
To reduce the impact on yourself.
Yes. Betul. Sebab when you set the boundaries kan, boundaries ni means a clear expectations that you want to tell other people how you want to be treated and how this relationship will go. So regardless whether it's a romantic relationship ke, percintaan kan, or a friendship sekalipun, or even adik-beradik sekalipun, you know, some adik-beradik can have this toxic behavior also among them. Kan? So maksudnya when you set the boundaries, it shows that you tell people how you want to be treated and how you want the relationship goes. So that they don't get to overstep you, and don't have the opportunity untuk orang kata melepasi you punya boundaries yang you have set.
Let's say if they do step over, you can set up a strict, like firmer boundary by having some consequence if they overstep. For example, if the person say something, a comment about my appearance and make me feel uncomfortable, I will excuse myself and speak to them later. So it's like the consequence that is I don't talk to you for a while. If you speak like that, that make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's the way you can set up a more firm boundary.
Yeah.
Betul? Hmm.
Another,
Maksudnya it's about being stand up jugalah. Ni another point yang might be useful as well adalah stand up for yourself. Always fight for your right, always fight for yourself lah. Tapi kan Syahri, I always notice tau when it comes to stand up atau set boundaries ni, even some people can have a fear.
yeah, betul.
There are a lot of thoughts that can come into their mind. Contohnya, what if I stand up or what if I set my boundaries and it hurts other people more? And I don't want it to happen. I don't want a difficult relationship with them.
Setting easy. Setting boundaries is not easy. It's pretty difficult for those who are not familiar with setting boundaries. It's not easy. Okay. If you're not familiar with setting boundaries, starting with very starter boundaries. Jangan terus pada boundaries yang terus cut the relationship off. Start with slowly start.
Ringan-ringan sikit.
Yeah, maybe you have to do that. And setting boundaries ni dia memang start dengan a feeling of uncomfortable where whenever you start something different or whenever you change your behavior, the concept is you change your behavior, it will affect others' behavior, which is the possibility of others' behavior change is high. So that's why setting boundaries is starting from you. Whenever you start, you may feel uncomfortable at the first period of time, but later on you will be comfortable with your own with the boundaries that you have made.
But it's understandable Syahri, even nak start tu pun susah. Kan? Susah. Tapi this is the thing that we have to do lah. Every perubahan memang susah and memang sakit.
When we back in these situations, right? For example, are suffered in a toxic behavior or toxic environment or toxic relationship. At the same time, you are suffer of feeling afraid if anything happens to you. So there are two situations here. You're afraid of you yourself putting boundaries and you are suffered in the toxic environment. So uncomfortable situations here. Two uncomfortable situations. Two situations that makes you feel very uncomfortable, very tak selesa dengan the environment, the situation. Tapi which one will produce more positive outcomes to yourself? Which one for you to we call you're more willing to adjust? Yang mana yang you lebih willing to adjust and yang mana yang boleh reduce the effect on you? Macam tu. It's on you whether you like to set the boundaries or not. But when we look back at the consequences, yang mana yang lebih kurang? Yang mana yang kurang dari sudut the consequences and yang mana yang you are willing to adjust?
Betul. And when you apa dia Syahri?
Yelah.
It's okay, you can continue.
Tak, maksudnya macam tu lah. Yang mana the consequences bila you buat, you receive less and you will be able to manage your emotions better. Yang mana dari sudut emotional management, for example, yang mana yang lebih baik as compared you deal with these toxic people or you face your fear? Yang mana you are to adjust? Macam tu lah.
And when like I said lah, whenever that you want to make changes, it always start with pain dulu. Sebab it changes something yang new, perubahan baru yang kita nak buat, right? So of course we will feel uncomfortable, we will feel pain sekejap, okay? But when dia dah jadi something like habit, you will get used to it. And kalau you dah start rasa tak selesa and you dah start rasa sakit, by the time you want to make changes, it's okay. Embrace with that feeling first, because that's the nature of making changes.
Yeah. Of making changes, you are in a situation once you make and then you become uncomfortable
Yep.
and it's become uncomfortable again. So
Betul?
comfortable, uncomfortable, and comfortable. So
Betul.
this is the loop changes.
Yes.
Comfortable, 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 comfortable. You are not making changes. It's a sound.
Betul. Dia macam kita seronok duduk kat comfort zone. Sampai we don't even realize that we have hurt other people.
Yeah.
Sebab kita dah terlalu selesa, right?
Yeah.
So that's why kalau usually my client kan, I will ask them, how about your readiness? Are you betul-betul ke you are willing to make changes? You know, by the time you step out from this door, if you decide to make changes, by the time you step out of this door, it means that you are ready to make changes. So you memang willingly to make changes or not? Some of them even can't say yes because they don't really even know that they want to make changes or not, but they are in pain.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy process to start making changes, but making changes is needed. Macam tu, right?
Especially when you notice the consequences is so bad. For example, with this toxic environment or toxic people, and then until you get depression, until you get anxiety disorder. So this is impact on you. So this is the time where it's a need for you to set boundaries. Another time that could help you in dealing with this type of people or this environment is that you are able to say no to this
assertiveness skills.
Assertiveness, where trying to find a way to say no on certain things, different perspective on certain things. If you keep receiving and not willing to say no to a certain situation, that's actually intensified the consequences.
And sometimes I find some people can be difficult also untuk say no, set the boundaries ni kan, sebab diorang tak nak hurt other people, and it makes them rasa, am I being self-centered? Am I the one who toxic here? But actually, setting a boundaries and saying no, it doesn't mean that you are being self-centered. It doesn't mean that you tengah selfish dekat sini. What you did is just part of your self-prioritizing. You try to prioritize yourself from other things. And prioritizing yourself, macam Syahari cakap tadi, self-centered is not self-love. It's different thing. So when you are trying to prioritize yourself in whatever conditions, it just shows that you are trying to love yourself more. You are trying to practice self-compassion.
Because we look at the consequences. Kita tengok kesan terhadap diri kita sendiri. It's like if you stay if you're not trying to do something different, you stay in that toxic environment or with the toxic people consistently, then you're not willing to make changes for yourself. Do you think it's fair for you to make yourself suffer, whereas you have another options?
And when you practice, when you are being self-prioritized, then when you just being self-prioritized, you are not being self-centered, your way of dealing with that people is usually more compassionate as compared to someone who are self-centered. Self-centered usually dia tak fikir perasaan orang. They just think about themselves. But someone who are self-prioritized, at certain point, they are still akan be compassionate toward other people. But it just they want to prioritize themselves first lah. So maksudnya the way they think is more on the wise mind thinking. It's not on either emotional or logical mind sahaja. Maksudnya they consider other people's punya feeling, and at the same time they try to prioritize their own value. Okay? So Yiqing, you have anything to say?
Yeah. So just now we talked about like how a person who has toxic behavior, they don't realize or they are not aware of the impact of their behavior on other people. So this is when we can like let them know, like be honest about how the their behavior impact us.
Yeah.
So we tell them that your behavior is causing me this kind of feelings, and it's affecting how it affects the other people, and like be honest in terms of, is there a compromise, that is there can you change, because I want our relationship to get better, can you change your behavior for the sake of our relationship? So honesty is also a way of how to deal with people with toxic behavior. So you let them know, let them understand, and then like help them to initiate the act of change if it's possible.
So maybe starting from you lah, you express what you feel to them.
Yes.
But
Let them have more awareness.
yeah,
Yes.
again, it's starting from you. It's not.
Betul.
It's starting from
Yes. And
one. When you make, you are the one who needs to express that. You need to want to. Just express what you feel. Yeah, you can use the I statement technique.
I statement technique. Yes.
I statement. And search in the I statement technique in dealing with toxic behavior. You can search in the internet. There are lots of template, lots of example there. So that this is another way of dealing with toxic behavior lah, or toxic people.
So maksudnya what Yiching and Syahri trying to say here is more on expressing your emotions. So kalau you sedih, kalau you sakit dengan their behavior, let them know your feeling. So by using I statement or I message technique ni, if you look at in the internet later on lah, the way I message and I statement technique ni being delivered, usually your feelings will be prioritized first. For instance, like, oh, I feel hurt because you balik lambat. Contohnya between husband and wife, So I feel hurt because you balik lambat, or I feel hurt because your statement sounds judgment to me. So it's okay. I mean that with this I statement technique, it can help to have more clarification whether our thoughts is really true or not. But at the same time, your emotions still being validated. You still manage to express your emotions. Rather than you blame, you bagi tahu, oh, you tengah judge I, is it? You know, there is no some kind of emotions there, tapi you cakap macam tu, orang tu pula yang akan rasa macam, are you blaming me ke? Are you pointing a finger to me, is it?
At least by expressing yourself, emotion release lah from you. At least. Tapi kalau if you express that and they don't understand, then you have already expressed. So it's good. Because as I told you, toxic people sometimes whatever you say to them, and then they don't listen. So that at least you express yourself.
Betul? So I mean that in dealing with toxic behavior, they will make you to suppress your emotions. But this is the thing yang kita tak boleh nak allow that thing to happen. That's why you have to stand up for yourself and let your emotions out. And one of the healthy manner lah to talk about your emotions can use I statement or I message technique. Because I message technique ni, like I said tadi lah, dia boleh bantu you express your emotions because you will prioritize your emotions first. And at the same time, it will lead to more clarification if there is misunderstanding without the other person feel being blamed juga by us.
But it's not easy, basically.
Yes, betul.
Boundaries to say no and then to express, it's not easy. But
yes, not easy, betul.
With the toxic behavior, it's not easy. Yes, correct. It's not. And this is the challenges lah. If you wanted to make changes, and then we have to go through the challenges lah. The
betul.
Not easy. The easy way of dealing certain things.
Betul. And satu lagi, when we deal with toxic behavior ni, be mindful on our aim. the reason we deal with them is not because we want to change them. Because that's not our job to change them. No matter what, we can't change other people's behavior, other people's emotions and thoughts, right? So we have talked about this a lot, I guess, ya Ari. So yeah, and so it's not our job untuk tukar other people's behavior, tapi we can be compassionate at the same time. Right? So we can still help bagi pertolongan or bagi shoulder if they need a shoulder to cry. But at the same time, knowing your boundaries, knowing your limitations, and set in your mind that my aim here, lending a hand ke, lending a shoulder ke, is not to change you atau to solve your problem. Because every changes, kalau nak buat perubahan, it's not come from other people, it must come from yourself. So if you are ready to make changes, the process will follow. Although macam ada hiccups here and there lah.
Yelah. Maksudnya once changes, you akan rasa satu kelainan, tapi kelainan ni not comfortable lah. Kelainan
Yes,
yang
betul.
comfortable, but the impact is reduced.
Betul. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that's all from three of us lah. Kita pun dah satu ke satu dah. Cukup ngam-ngam ke satu ni. So, Yiqing, you have anything to say to our audience since it seems like there are no questions from our audience. Wow, okay. Yes. Tak ada question daripada our audience. So, Yiqing, would you like to say anything to our audience?
Thank you for listening to our conversations regarding toxic behavior and how to deal with them. And I'm really happy to join the PVC Center, and also it's a interesting experience to do a live like this to discuss about topics. I hope that it will be helpful lah for all of you.
Correct.
Yeah. So ni first time kita introduce Yiqing. So lepas ni our audience will see her a lot lah in the upcoming live. Muka kita ni kita little tak belakang-belakang masih ke Syahri. Okay. So Syahri?
Yang tu lah, if you identify the toxic behavior, the toxic environment with all the signs that we have mentioned to you, and then try to manage it using some strategies that we share just now lah. It's not easy to deal with toxic environment and behavior, but this is the things that we may need to face lah. Whether you want it to be fair to yourself, or you just want to be suffer with this.
Yeah. So and from me, bila cakap pasal toxic behavior ni, it reminds me of two things lah. Kalau you deal with toxic behavior, it's either you run or either you run, which is ignore lah, ataupun kenal ke kan, ataupun you stay and deal with it in a healthy manner. If you look at here, running would not be a great idea, because no matter what, you will be surrounded by people, and we never know which people can be toxic to us. Okay? So it's not about running, it's about how you deal with that.
It's developing your own self lah.
Betul?
Building your own self. Skills and knowledge lah, basically.
That's true.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you everyone for joining us today. So we will see again next time. Bye bye.